all over the place. I think a couple of days ago, 2 people got shot in Times Square. The other day, I think another girl got shot in the face in the Bronx. So people are very scared. It seems like New York is getting worse than getting better. So what do you say that, at a time like this, cutting the police budgets, that seems like that is taking more police officers off the street?
I want to be very clear. We are not defunding the police. What we are talking about is sustaining the number of police that we have within the police department. And when I talk to those police officers themselves, they tell me they signed up to join the police force to tackle serious crimes. And yet what they're being asked to do today is serve as mental health professionals and social workers. The same officers who thought they'd be responding to shootings are picking up the 200,000 phone calls a year of mental health calls. And what we've seen elsewhere in the country is you can actually move mental health calls out of the police department. That can reduce the calls that police have to deal with by 20%. And in doing so, you can increase police response time to those major categories of crime. And I think that's important because police have a critical role to play in public safety. And we also need to ask them to just focus on their job and not ask them to do every job. Because what we're seeing right now is these same politicians who have given us this lack of public safety over so many years telling us that their only answer, no matter the question, is to ask police to do more. I want them to do the thing that they signed up for and to have a Department of Community Safety with teams of dedicated mental health outreach workers at the top 100 stations with the highest levels of mental health crisis and homelessness. We have to deliver public safety.
And when those calls come in, and people are saying, hey, somebody's over here having an episode, the police, I think, should be going out there with the mental health professional. Let the mental health professional be the person who tries to diffuse that situation.
Backing them up.
And, even if you want, I think I can't tell you how to say things, but
no, please.
If the NYPD got a budget of $10.8 billion, does all of that really need to go to the police? They're already super underpaid, so where's that money going anyway? So why not take some of that money and invest it into other alternatives to respond to things like mental health crisis?
And that's what I've said, which is that we have to work backwards from, does every dollar we spend go towards public safety? The critiques that I've said of the NYPD have been that they don't need an 80-person communications department. That doesn't actually deliver public safety. That delivers us drone footage. Right? We can actually rapidly downsize that. And I've been heartened to see the current commissioner took that 80 and made it 40. And I've also said that we don't need to have a more than $1 billion police overtime budget. And usually when you say that, people frame it as if you are going after the police. But when you ask the police, there are 200 officers leaving the department every month. And one of the leading causes is forced overtime because of quality of life. They don't know when they're going home. They're working doubles and triples. This is actually something that can make it easier to do that job and ensure that we're actually responding to this, because what we have right now is not working. I sat with the family of a New Yorker named Win Rosario, who's a young New Yorker who was going through a mental health crisis. He called 911 himself, asking for help. 2 police officers who were trained in mental health assistance were dispatched to his home, and they killed him within 3 minutes on camera in front of his mother and his brother.
So they were trained in mental health?
They were trained. And my point here is that serves no one. That family grieves him every single day. And we all know that that was not the way to respond to this. So why don't we actually look at what works elsewhere in the country and bring it here? And that's what we're talking about, evidence-based policy solutions that will deliver real public safety.
Hold on, maybe we're stepping on our own point. If they were trained, when you say trained in mental health, they were trained to know how to respond to people dealing with crisis?
These police officers were given the training that right now we're being told is sufficient. Mm-hmm. And my point here is that we should not be training police officers for mental health response. We should have mental health responders be the ones who are actually the ones there.
Gotcha.
And it's one that leaves them unable to do many things. Because right now, as you were saying, New Yorkers, when they're worried about safety, they want to know, what's your plan? 65% of crimes from the first quarter of this year are currently unresolved. That's partially because we're asking the police to do everything.
I get what you're saying.
So
you know what else they should do?